Good evening and welcome, everybody. Thanks for taking the time out of your night to join us for this public hearing tonight. This is a public hearing for a permit application submitted by Gentex Corporation in Zeeland Township, Ottawa County. My name is Ryan Blazik. I'm with Eagles Environmental Support Division. I'm just going to be helping to moderate this public hearing tonight. But before I do, just have a couple quick things. All right, first is the agenda for tonight. We're going to start off with welcome, which we're doing right now, and an introduction. A big thing to keep in mind is there's two portions to the hearing tonight. First, we're going to start off with an informational session where the applicant has an opportunity to present on the project. That shouldn't go more than about 10 minutes. And then if there are any questions on the application or project, we'll go through a question and answer session up until about 6:30. And then we'll go through the ways to submit an official comment. And then kind of the second part is the official hearing. That'll be where you have an opportunity to make a statement for the record on this application that's submitted. And then finally, we'll go through who to contact with further questions if you have any questions in follow-up to the hearing. Logistics wise, all lines are going to be muted during the hearing. You'll be able to hear us, but we can't hear you. At any time, you could submit your question in the questions box in your Zoom toolbar. It should say Q&A box, actually. So you can submit your question at any time. During the Q&A session, you will have an opportunity to raise your hand and ask a question. You'll also be doing that for the hearing portion, but we'll talk about that a little bit later, and we'll explain how to do that later. Also, just so you're aware, we are recording this hearing. We're going to be putting the recording on our YouTube channel, and it'll be up there in a couple days. So if you want to watch again or forward it on, you're more than welcome to do so. All right, and at this time, I'd like to invite Lauren and Audrey to turn your cameras and mics on and introduce yourselves, our other Eagle staff who are on the line tonight.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Audrey Kirk, and I'm the District Supervisor for the Water Resources Programs in the Grand Rapids District Office. I oversee a team of 11, and as a team, we administer 6 environmental protection statutes in 9 counties in West Michigan.
Hi, I'm Lauren Schertzinger. I am the Environmental Quality Analyst with the Grand Rapids District Office that covers Southern Ottawa County. I have been reviewing this permit application, and during the public notice period, we had a request for the public hearing, which is why we're here tonight. All
right, perfect. Thanks, Audrey and Lauren, for that introduction. Now we're going to go right into the informational session part. So we should have Ryan Eiseldike and Adrian Peterson from Peterson and Vandenberg Environmental on the line. So we're going to unmute Ryan and Adrian. And then you'll be able to, okay, it looks like you both should be unmuted. You can unmute yourself. I have your slides here. So just let me know when you want to go to the next slide. Oops, it's too fast. And then, yeah, if you keep it to around 10 minutes or so, it would be appreciated. And we can go from there. Are you there, Adrian and Ryan?
Yep, Ryan is here.
All right, perfect. All right, you can begin when you're ready.
I'll start out by the project.
All right, Adrian, it's actually hard to hear you. I'm not sure if you have background noise or you can get closer to the mic.
Here for you.
Oh yeah, try that. Yep. Thank you.
All right. So corporation is expanding one of their facilities, which I can show in the next phase. Well, maybe we'll start here. So they're expanding one of their facilities, and in order to expand their facility, they need to do some additional stormwater management. And it was determined that the best location for that stormwater management was within the northeast corner of the project area. So if you want to move to the next slide. So this is the property. This is Quincy up on the north, and the property is shown as the project area. And the proposed stormwater detention basin is where it says site. Next slide, please. This slide shows the overall master plan for the site. You can see the stormwater management basin, or it's actually going to be a drain dry basin up in the northeast corner. And the building that's going to be expanding is shown kind of in the south east corner, kind of to the south and east of the detention basin. This dotted line here is the breaking point for the way the property slopes. So the property slopes to the north past this line and to the south on the other direction, which means the property to the north has the watershed will be directed to the north. The watershed on the other side will be directed to the south. Okay, please, next slide. This is a drain map that shows the drains that address these different watersheds. The drain called number 16, which is on the north, addresses the water flow across the site. It would be directed into this. Currently it goes to this drain, and then the water from the south side goes into the Boone drain extension, which is off to the southeast. Next slide, please. This is just a blow up of the proposed building. So there's an existing building to the south, and then this is the proposed building expansion, which you can see it crosses this drainage or watershed line, and it's still to the other one. Buildings will direct their stormwater to the stormwater detention that's proposed in the northeast part, because they have to do this the way the watershed is in the area. Next slide, please. So here's a close-up of the proposed water detention, and it's actually going to drain dry. Will not have any water except for during.
Are you there, Adrian? Yeah, we have some audio issues and I am not seeing Adrian back on the line. Looks like we might have lost her. Ryan, did you have anything to add, or?
Yeah, sure. I guess I can kind of try to pick up where Adrian dropped off. I think it sounded like she was having maybe some internet connection issues. Yeah, so this slide is of the proposed stormwater management basin. It's located up adjacent to Quincy Street, and there's an existing kind of farm field ditch that's there. You can see it kind of flowing through the middle of the proposed basin in this slide. That's where the wetlands that we're disturbing are located. They're in and immediately adjacent to that field ditch. This location is it was chosen for the basin because it is the lowest point on the property. Adrian was pointing out that thick dotted line that we had going through the site, and that's kind of where that's the highest point in this area, and the water kind of flows each way from there. And there's about 115 acres of our site and property owned by Gentex and some other adjacent landowners that all flows to this this point here adjacent to Quincy Street. There's a 36-inch diameter culvert that goes under Quincy Street and under a new bike path that the township just put in at the end of the construction season last year. And that serves as the outlet point today for this whole approximately 115 acres worth of predominantly right now agricultural land, and will serve as the outlet point for this detention pond. I guess just real high level summary of that. This detention pond was designed in accordance with the Ottawa County Water Resources Office's newest LGRO standards, which were adopted in January of 2021. And those standards were developed by the Ottawa County Water Resources with the assistance of the LGRO folks, which is the Lower Grand River watershed. So Ottawa County, Kent County, Allegan County, portions of Muskegon County. And that was developed to be in compliance with the new MS4 requirements that the EPA has put out. The spreadsheet and the calculation methodology was reviewed and approved by the EPA to be in compliance with the MS4 permit requirements. So that's the methodology we use to size this basin. And I guess just kind of real quick summary and not go into the calculation details. Today, like I said, about 115 acres flows to this 36-inch culvert. And that's roughly 59 acre feet, which is an acre worth of water 1 foot deep. So 59 of those worth of water would flow theoretically to that culvert during what's referred to as the 100-year event, which is a little shy of a 7-inch rainfall over 24 hours. And that would be coming there at the rate of about 44 or 45 cubic feet per second at its peak, which maxes out the capacity of that 36-inch culvert. With our site and with our proposed detention basin there, we're required to slow that release rate down. And that's the reason for the pond, to provide that kind of buffer volume. And we will decrease that 44 cubic feet per second down to about 3.2 cubic feet per second. So about 1/12 of the release rate that the site would theoretically see today by the control measures that our pond puts in place. That's done through a concrete structure with holes in the structure that meter the water through and such. They're at different elevations. We have to do some slow release during the smaller rain events and more rapid release during the larger rain events. But that basin will see a fair amount of water coming there, as you can imagine. But it is still designed to drain dry about 72 hours after the rain stops. So when it's raining and immediately after the rain, there's going to be standing water there. But within 72 hours, that basin should be basically dry. There'll definitely be water still flowing in the ditch yet, what is the historic ditch today. But the majority of the bottom of that basin should be dry and should be maintainable by Gentex as part of their standard, periodic mowing of their site.
Thanks, Ryan. Oh,
I was just Adrian's back on.
I am back. Sorry about that. Thanks, Ryan. Why don't we just finish off maybe with going through the amount of wetland impact. Next slide, please. So this slide shows the existing conditions today with the topographic survey and also with the existing wetland ditch shown. It's an ag ditch that's full of wetland vegetation shown on the plan. There's also a little wetland area adjacent to Quincy Street, and then along the east property line, there's another little wetland ditch area. Next slide. So this slide shows the proposed project, which shows the buildings, which are kind of in the southeast corner. You can just see the edge of them, will outlet to a stormwater swale, which will be created, and cross over an existing wetland ag ditch, and then outlet into the existing wetland ditch, which will then be released into the stormwater detention basin. And then depending on the storm events, it will either, during low flows, it will just continue to track across the basin as it currently does. And then during high flows, it will pond water in here, as Ryan discussed, and then slowly outlet it to the existing culvert that connects into the number 16 drain across the street to the north of Quincy. The wetland impact is, so the wetland here and the wetland in the basin and the wetland to the south will remain the same, but they're considered in maintaining a use of the wetland. So it is part of our permit application. And then there's 2 small wetland impacts for a total of 0.98 acres of wetland impact for this project. Next slide. So this slide shows the details on those wetland impacts, this very small wetland ditch impacts. Next slide. This is a cross section showing the outlet. This is the cross section AA is the outlet to the ditch. So you can see how that will work. And then this is just cross section the other direction. Next slide. This is the other area that will be impacted for the placement of the detention basin in Swale. The next slide. And this is just another one of those cross sections showing how it will work. Next slide. This cross section shows the detention basin that's proposed, shows the existing wetland to remain in pink in the center, and then it shows the different water elevations depending on the storm it is. So if it's a 10-year storm, the water will be at that elevation. If it's a 100-year storm, it will be at the higher elevation for a period of 72 hours, as Ryan had stated. Next slide. So that's all that we have to present. So I guess we're here to answer any questions that anyone has.
All right. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Thank you, Adrian and Ryan. I'm going to go through kind of how we're going to run this question and answer session. And just to recap, so this is a part of the night. If you have a question on the project or application, you can ask that. If you have a statement that you want to make for the record, hold on to that. We're going to get to that part next. And if you do have a question, you could submit it in the Q&A box in your Zoom toolbar that you should see at the bottom of your screen. You can type that in, hit enter, or you can click the raise hand icon at the bottom of your screen. So you could click that, and then we'll call on you and unmute you, and you'll have a chance to ask your question of our panel. And then if there's anybody on the phone, it doesn't look like there is, but if there is, you can type #2 on your receiver, and that'll also raise your hand in Zoom. And then we'll call on you using the last 4 digits of your number. So with that, are there any questions for the panel tonight, either Eagle staff or the representatives from Gentex? Okay, looks like I have one raised hand. Oops. One raised hand. David Vandenbosch, we're going to unmute you and you can ask your question. All right, so you should be able to unmute yourself. You'll see a microphone icon at the bottom of your screen. Just click that and you should be able to talk. Nope.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you.
Sorry about my picture. I was wanting to hook my face on there, but it didn't happen. So thank you for the information. First, it was very, I guess I'm nervous about some stuff going on with all the land around my house. I mean, was the house kind of locked in the middle of all this? So I'm thinking my question would be more like, as parking lots add in, the water doesn't sink into the ground and buildings go up, is that gonna change the design of the drain field at all? I seen the master plan and there's a lot of new stuff happening. And I think natural rain flow is gonna sink into the ground, where with buildings, I mean, is that gonna flow like to my yard? Is it gonna be change the structure of our drain field and I know the sidewalk we had put in this year, they had the same type of engineering done and it flooded worse than I've ever seen it in my 35 years here. And it all flooded to the basin that's going in to that same spot. And then it wouldn't flow across the road. So I guess just you guys are the experts. I mean, does that all come into account with your formulation calculations of the basin?
Can someone answer that, Ryan or Adrian or Lauren or Audrey?
Yeah, this is Ryan. You know, we've this is all of this drainage is reviewed by Ottawa County Water Resources, and they have a third-party engineer that reviews it all. We are not allowed, and that the reason for the basin is because, like you stated, parking lots, building roofs, additional water, more water runs off those than runs off an agricultural field. So the basin there is sized to basically hold the delta between, we have to do a calculation that says how much water runs off there today as an agricultural field. And then we have to do a calculation that shows how much water is going to run off there when it's building, parking lot, bike path, all of that. And we have to size that basin to handle that additional runoff plus a fair amount of safety factor, because engineers love safety factors. So that's what we're mandated to do by the county, by the state, and by the EPA. And we've documented that, and it's been approved by Ottawa County that we have accounted for that.
Okay.
In the future, if additional stuff is added there, if some of those future buildings are put in, there'll have to be additional stormwater measures put in place for those buildings. That pond there is sized for the work that is getting started now, and a portion of those future buildings, but not all of them, because we don't know, what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. The rules may change. Gentex may change their idea what they want to build. So we've sized in some additional capacity in there for future development, but not everything that's shown there. So that will be reviewed again every time Gentex goes in for a new building permit. All of this was reviewed again by the county and made sure that we're up to hoil with what we're doing.
Thank you for that. I think I kind of had that feeling. I know they're good neighbors. They want to do what's right. I just get nervous when I see things kind of going around, and I love where I live. It was my dad's property before mine, so it's sentimental that way, and I just want to make sure it's gonna stay. I like a prized place that I love to be at. So thank you for your information. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for the question, David. Are there other questions that we have out there for our panel? All right, we'll give it a couple more seconds here. I'm not seeing anything in the Q&A box or any other raised hands, and there has been an opportunity to do so. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next part of the hearing. So with that, thank you, Adrian and Ryan, for being part of the question and answer panel and for that presentation. But before we get into the hearing part, which is kind of the next part tonight, I just want to make sure you're aware there are other ways to submit an official comment. In case you didn't want to make a comment tonight, you can do that through Eagle's My Enviro portal using submission HPQ 93P7JM49Q. And you see the link in front of you. We'll put that link in the chat as well. You can also do it the old-fashioned way by mail to Lauren Schertzinger. That's SCHIRTZINGER, and that's at State Office Building, 5th floor, 350 Ottawa Avenue Northwest, Grand Rapids, Michigan, 49503-2341. And that comment period is open for 10 days, which will be June 24th. So you have until June 24th to make any additional comments, either through my Enviro or by mail. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the hearing portion. And Lauren, I'd like to invite you to read the opening statement for us tonight.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lauren Schertzinger, and I'm the district representative in the Water Resource Division of the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy. I will be serving as the hearing officer for this public hearing on Eagle submission HPQ-93P7-JM49Q. With me tonight is Audrey Kirk, the Grand Rapids District Supervisor. To describe how this is going to work, I will begin with some background information about why we're here tonight. I will then describe the purpose of the hearing and how your comments will be used. Following that, I will outline the procedures under which we will take your comments and then describe what will happen after tonight's hearing. It will then be time for you to provide comments, and we will spend the majority of the time tonight listening to those comments. At the end of the hearing, I will read the closing statement. By way of background information, the Water Resource Division is responsible for administering a variety of programs that help protect inland lakes and streams, wetlands, floodplains, sand dunes, and the Great Lakes. These programs regulate certain activities such as dredging or filling a lake, stream, or wetland, constructing a dam, constructing a marina, placing shore protection, or constructing docks and buildings in a design critical sand dune area, wetland, or floodplain. The law governing those responsibilities is the Natural Resources and Environmental Protection Act, 1994, PA 451 as amended. We are here tonight because Gentex Corporation has proposed to impact approximately 0.098 acres of wetland to construct a stormwater detention basin and then construct a new 1,198 linear foot and 0.74 acre wetland swale as part of their stormwater management system. In order for a permit to be granted, Eagle must find that the proposed activities described in the public notice meet certain criteria set apart by Part 301 Wetlands Protection Act 451. In general, we must consider the effect of the proposed project on the stream and wetland. When reviewing an application for permit under the provisions of Part 301 Wetland Protection of Act 451, Eagle is charged to make the following indications as required by Section 30311 of Part 303. A permit for an activity listed in Section 30304 shall not be approved unless the department determines that the issuance of the permit is in the public interest, that the permit is necessary to realize the benefits derived by the activity, and that the activity is otherwise lawful. A permit shall not be issued unless it is shown that an unacceptable disruption will not result to the aquatic resource, and a permit shall not be issued unless the applicant also shows either of the following: that the proposed activity is primarily dependent upon being located in a wetland, or a feasible and prudent alternative does not exist. The purpose of tonight's hearing is to give anyone interested in Gentex Corporation application an opportunity to provide information that Eagle can use in making that decision whether or not to issue a permit. Please recognize that Eagle can only use the information you provide if it relates to the criteria that Eagle must use in making a decision. Some of you may simply want to express your support or opposition to the project. We will be happy to make note of your position, but please understand that Eagle is by law not allowed to base our decision on whether or not there is widespread support or opposition to the project. In just a moment, I will outline the procedures we will use for taking your comments. But before I do so, I need to mention that the notice of this hearing was published on mlive.com on June 4th, 2023. As we discussed at the beginning of the informational session, if you have a comment to provide, please raise your hand in the Zoom toolbar to ensure that the hearing is conducted in a fair manner. We will follow these steps. First, the applicant and/or their consultant has already had an opportunity to describe the proposed project. Second, we will then call on those who have indicated in their registration that they would like to speak. After that, we will call on all those that raise their hand in the Zoom toolbar and that that would like to make a comment if they have not already been called upon. As a reminder, if you are participating in this hearing via telephone only, follow the directions of the moderator on how to identify that you would like to make a comment. You may also submit your comments to Eagle via MyEnviro portal or US Mail. When all comments have been completed, we will ask if anyone else would like to make a statement. When your name is called, your microphone will be unmuted. As you begin your comments, please state your name and any group or association you may represent. Each person will be given 5 minutes to make their comments. We will indicate to you when you have a minute left, and please begin wrapping up your comments and end within the allotted time. If need be, we will indicate when your time has ended. I ask that we all be courteous and respectful to one another tonight. Please also recognize that Eagle staff are here tonight to provide a fair opportunity for you to express your comments on the proposed project and to listen to those comments. This hearing is being recorded and your comments will be a part of the information Eagle will consider in making its decision on whether or not to issue a permit on the proposed project. The public comment period for this public hearing is open for 10 days from the date of this hearing, ending on June 24th, 2023. Additional information and comments submitted in writing during the 10-day public comment period will also be considered in Eagle's decision. Following the close of the public comment period, Eagle will make a decision to either issue a permit for the project as proposed or with modifications, or send a letter of denial. You may find out what the decision is by checking the Eagle MyEnviro portal website and search for the application number HPQ-93P7-JM49Q. Thank you for your attention. We will begin calling the names of those who have indicated that they would like to make a statement.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Lauren. As Lauren mentioned, everybody will have 5 minutes. I have a list of names of people during registration who indicated they wanted to make a comment. And we're going to start with those. And then we'll go on to anybody else who would like to make a comment. You just would need to raise your hand in Zoom like we talked about earlier. And then we'll call on people in turn. I'll give you a heads up, a 1 minute heads up when your time is almost up. Everyone will have an opportunity to make a comment, and there'll be 1 comment per person to give everybody an equal opportunity. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. I have Adrian and Ryan on the list. Did you want to make a comment, or did you just indicate during registration because you were presenting tonight?
We just registered that way. We don't need to make another comment.
Okay, just wanted to confirm. Thank you. All right. So then next up is David Vandenbosch. So David, we're going to unmute you again. And you should be able to unmute yourself like you did before. And then you can begin making your comment when you're ready.
Yeah, my main concern was just the overall thought process going into it. Like I said, I seen everything growing around us. I was nervous. I'm glad I came. Glad I got the real information from the team. Just please be careful, I guess, with this. Make sure that it isn't going to affect the few that are still here. We're being surrounded, so just that's my only ask. Is if everything's done correctly, I really don't have a problem with it. It just my ask is to make sure it's correct, so we don't get the bad effects. I guess another question maybe would be, if it doesn't work, is there someplace I could go, or is after this gets approved, it's just the way it is?
Well, David, we actually have gone through the Q&A session already. So
Okay,
this is
that's fine.
to make a
Yeah,
comment.
that's fine.
I will provide Lauren's contact information after we get through this so that you can follow up with Lauren on any potential questions you have afterwards.
All right, that's fine.
Are you done with your statement, or do you have anything additional you
that's
want to say? Okay. All right. Well, thanks for your comment, David. All right. Is there anybody else on the line tonight who would like to make a comment? We're going to the raised hands now. So if anybody else, so we do have some other folks in the line. If you'd like to make a comment, raise your hand in Zoom. At the bottom is up at your Zoom toolbar at the bottom of your screen, you see your raised hand icon. If there's anybody on the phone, it doesn't look like there are, but again, I will just to double check, you can select #2 on your receiver and that will raise your hand in Zoom. So with that, I'm still not seeing any raised hands. So we're going to move on to the next part of the hearing tonight. So Lauren, would you want to read the closing statements tonight?
Thank you for your comments and cooperation. We appreciate your interest in the proposed project and that you took the time to be here tonight. As indicated at the beginning of the hearing, you may submit additional written comments until June 24th, 2023. Following the close of the public comment period, we will consider all comments received and make a decision on the proposed project. Just to remind those that may still want to make a comment, comments can be submitted via My Enviro portal or US mail. The hearing is now closed. Thank you again.
All right, thank you. Lauren, as Lauren mentioned, I've got the screen up here again for additional comments. Through My Enviro that was previously put in the chat, submission HPQ 93P7JM49Q, or by mail to Lauren Schertzinger, State Office Building, 5th floor, 350 Ottawa Avenue, Northwest, Grand Rapids, Michigan, 49503. And as mentioned before, the comment period after this public hearing will be open for 10 days, which is June 24th. 2023. And then I got Lauren's information here to contact for further questions. And I guess we could take another minute if we had that other question, David, since we're through the public hearing portion. I'll leave this up for a second. Did you want to ask your question?
No, I'm fine. I like I said, I think it's going to fall pretty much on Gentex. Is what they have up there is going to be what they can manage. So, like I said, with the sidewalk, they were promised a lot, and it failed miserably this spring. We got a lot of rain, but it failed miserably. I mean, my yard was never flooded like it was. But I feel comfortable. Gentex is a good neighbor, so I think that's who we have to go to, right? We wouldn't go to the state. We'd go to Gentex himself if we found oil in our yards and things started going backwards.
Was it a question, David, or?
Yeah, I mean, is that who would we go to if there's issues that we see, like erosion starting to happen, or the parking lots are running off into our yards? We're seeing backups from the pond that they're having. Would we go to the state for that, like our county, or would we go to Gentex?
Yeah, Lauren or Audrey, you have an answer for David? Oh, I think you just unmuted or just muted yourself.
I did. So if you see a potential contamination issue in regards to water, so if you see an oil spill, definitely you can reach out to the state. We have a water quality or pollution emergency assist team that can handle that. And if there's impacts that you see, like sediment runoff into a stream that seems out of the ordinary, or impact to a wetland or a stream, that would come to Audrey and I's team in Grand Rapids. You can definitely submit request or notify us. If there's other concerns, I'm Gentex. You can always reach out to Gentex to see about concerns with growth or concerns with the site design. Ideally, if there are future impacts to regulated water bodies in the future, they would submit another permit application through us, and we would go through another public comment period. So you would receive another mail type building thing. So as development occurs, yeah.
I don't foresee that. I'm just saying down the road, if we see something that's not looking right,
yeah,
I'd like to kind of have it clear in my head who I would go to. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for the question, David. Yeah, thanks, Lauren. All right, so Lauren's contact information, if another question comes up later on, Lauren's number is 616-256-3851, or can be reached by email at schertzingerl@michigan.gov, SCHIRTZINGERL@MICHIGAN.gov. All right, and with that, we're wrapping up, but first I'd like to invite Audrey. Do you have any closing comments for us tonight?
Sure. Thanks, Ryan. I just want to thank everyone for attending tonight. It's always helpful to hear comments and get those questions vetted out. So I do appreciate everyone being on the call. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Audrey, and thanks to you all for participating tonight. Last thing I have to say is just a reminder that a recording of this hearing will be on our YouTube channel in a couple days. It'll be closed captioned, and you can watch this again or forward it on at that point if you so wish. Hope you all have a great rest of your evening and good night. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.